Welcome to the Grow and Expand with Ace podcast, where we break through limitations, we heal from within, and we step into our most expansive, fulfilled, and happiest lives. Thank you so much for joining me in today's podcast episode as we welcome the one and only powerhouse, Maricor Dela Cerna, or as I know her, Maz. Maz is, simply put, fucking phenomenal. She has been my spiritual guide, my coach, my energy healer, and the greatest, biggest expression of love and light that I've had the privilege of having access to in this lifetime. And now that cannot be her formal biography, of course. So she's also known as the author of Amazon's best-selling book called I Deserve Better. She's a world-renowned breath facilitator, energy healer, Reiki master, accession master, and coach. Thank you so much for joining me today, Maz. I so appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm so honored and proud to be in the seat here and to witness your growth and what you're doing with the community and everything else. So thank you. It's my honor.
No, absolutely. So before we get stuck into it, I think what's really important and powerful is for you to tell your story, so that everyone who's listening and who's watching, we're going to get into some powerful, phenomenal stuff, and that they can see that anyone can do that, and where you've come from to where you are, that it's possible for anyone, because that was one of the biggest messages you gave me.
Oh my goodness, my story. Where do you start with that? I feel like I've lived 100 different lives just this lifetime alone. But to put it in a nutshell, basically, I was born into poverty. I recently did share some photos of where I still have family living and the state of their homes and where I was birthed into this world. I was then lucky enough to come to Australia, but not so lucky in this form of like experiencing a lot of traumatic experiences, like in childhood, being molested as a child, and then in my teens, living on the streets, having a lot of abuse, a string of toxic relationship. I was a drug addict. I was an alcoholic. I was depressed. I was suicidal. I was the crazy party girl. I had so much unhealed pain and suppressed wounds and so much unhealed trauma that I didn't even know I was holding on to, and basically was just surviving through life, just day by day. And fast forward from there, I've been able to not only turn my life completely 360 and create, now living my third vision board, but bring my manifestations to life. I've been able to help so many others transform their lives like you. So, yeah.
That's exactly right. That's right. When I met you, I was at rock bottom, the pits of fucking burnout, just, not having a good time. And then look at me now, I could ramble it off, but energy doesn't lie. And I think that's a powerful place for us to start, because that is one of the one of the first things you taught me. You taught me and introduced me to the world of energy. You taught me that when other people speak, to listen to the energy instead of the words. You told me when my ego speaks, to listen to the energy before the words. The energy is such a real world. It's more real than, quite frankly, where I'm at in the journey, anything else. And yet we don't know anything about it. So, what are some of those, just share your wisdoms.
Well, I'm very grateful and thankful for people like Joe Dispenza in the neuroscience field, because they're putting proof to the fact of all this woo-woo that we speak of, such as everything is made of energy. Quantum physics proves that. And once we can wrap our mind around the fact that literally everything is just a vibrating frequency, it's all energy. And one of the only things I remember from primary school, because I don't have much of an education, and I don't know why this stuck with me, but maybe there was a reason for that now that I've just said that out loud, but like attracts like. And it basically comes to that one thing. So it really is just about mastering your own energy. And when you can master your own energy, you determine what frequency you want to be vibrating on, which will then reflect out in your outer reality. So I honestly believe, though, we are all, as humans, light beings, and we are so powerful, so powerful. We're all gifted. We can all be psychic. We can all be mediums. We can all heal ourselves and heal each other. Every single human has that ability, but we have been conditioned to forget that, to not know that, to not realize just how powerful we are. And it's until we start shedding all those other energies that are low vibrational, blocking our actual light that is already within, that's when we start to see that. And so I've made it my mission to help, ignite that flame in everyone around me that they've already got it though. It's not anything like that special, I don't feel. It's just we've forgotten.
Yeah, that's powerful. You say we've forgotten. My word that I put to it is suppressed. Like it's suppressed, but like anything that you suppress long enough, it's bursting at the seams to come out. It was bursting at the seams to come out within me, which is why the world's most conservative, Christianly traditioned, limited-minded person that I was saw one of your posts, one post, a retreat for 3 days, which I don't even think I knew what a retreat was back then. And it activated me. Your energy, it wasn't the fucking pamphlet. It wasn't the words on the pamphlet. It was the energy behind the post that activated me sitting in that bathtub in my big old fucking house, miserable as fuck, that then drew me to you and being cool to you. Like energy is just so powerful once we start understanding it.
Definitely. And I bet you that post was static. It wasn't even a moving post.
That's right. It was static. It goes against any marketing fucking guru advice. That's right, Maz.
But it's the same thing as like when you eat food, and that saying, like when you cook with love, doesn't it taste different?
Yeah.
It tastes so much better because it's that energy getting put into that food. Just like if you're just making it just to put food on the table and like shut your husband up or whatever else, that tastes like not as good, even though you might use exactly the same proportions, the same ingredients, everything is the same method. However, one is vibrating at a different frequency than the other.
And that's one of the most powerful techniques you taught me, was the reframe between fear and love.
Yeah, like that was a game changer for me, definitely.
Like, do you want to summarize it or do you want me to summarize it for the listeners?
Go for it. I'd love to hear.
You'd love to hear my version of it.
Yeah.
We all relate to anything outside of us, and very few things like has a consciousness of its own, right? Particularly like, let's say, that video camera or that light or whatever. And it's my projections onto the things that then creates the consciousness, and we're co-creating it. And you either are coming, like you can drill it down to one of two questions, is how you're coming at it from a place of fear, a place of, and obviously underneath fear, there's control, there's constriction, there's manipulation, there's lack, it's constrictive in the chest. Or can you view that and reframe that both on a mind, but also emotional and kind of energetic level from a place of love and expansiveness and light. And like that piece is just in everything I do every single day. And it's like the shortest circuit to everything, isn't it?
Oh, it's a game changer, and it's allowed me to bring in so many manifestations and change my reality. Just that. It sounds so simple, but it's so powerful, right?
So powerful. What's the most powerful way you've ever used it? Like, how has it served you? What incidents, event, moment, like that was just the most powerful serving of it?
I think I use that almost daily, but I think the first thing that's coming to my mind right now, and the biggest like shift manifestation actually brought in for me, was when I was writing my book, I Deserve Better, because I didn't finish high school. I didn't have much of an education, and I had all these fears of like, who am I to write a book? Who's even going to listen to me? Oh my God, a book is like so much hard work. What if I put my heart and soul into this and no one even reads it? And da 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 da. All these fears and limiting beliefs that I was just telling myself, which could have been true. They did have some truth to it. But then it was then realizing, and it was actually one of my author mentors at the time, Shannon Kaizen. She's a 7 times international best-selling author. So you find someone that's already walked that path and learned from them, right? And she said to me, like, how can you look at this from another perspective that makes you feel better? How can you look at this from a place of love? Because I was telling her all these things, like, oh my God, that's a book. Like, and I was all these, but what if it fails? What if I'm not good enough? What if I don't have the skill? All this stuff. And then when I stopped to look at it, because literally everything in this world and everything in our reality, we can only ever look from two perspectives. And we're either coming from fear or love. There's no in between. We're either looking at it from fear or love. And so I thought about that. And it was beautiful that she stopped me in my tracks, because then I thought, no, I have a powerful message to share. There are so many people trapped in toxic and abusive relationships. And if I had known what I knew then, that would have helped me back then. So if anyone's still in that position now, anything that I have to share is going to help them. And I believe that with my whole heart. Like there was no doubt about that. And she was like, focus on that. Just focus on that. And that one power thought that came from love literally annihilated the thousands of fears and limiting beliefs and all these worries that I had by having just one thought that came from love. And that's how powerful it was. And so I did. I focused on the fact that I had a message to share that I knew would help, even if it was just one person that read it that was stuck in that relationship that could potentially kill them or harm them greatly, and it was going to help them. That's all I cared about. I knew I had a message that would help them. And by focusing on just that one thought, my book, like literally, I was working a full-time job at the time and writing it on the side. And with like 6, 7, 8 days max in a month, it was just channeled and it came out. And like literally now to this day, people read that book and they're just like, oh my God, like it's like every word is speaking to me, like you're just speaking directly to me, right? Because the energy and the intention was there for me to reach that one person in that specific situation. And then my book ended up getting finished super quickly, like within the month it was written over like several nights. But then it became a best-selling book on Amazon. And like I was just so like, wow, mind blown by just one thought that came from love. That's how powerful love is. Literally annihilated all the 1,000 other fears. And from that moment, I took that and I was like, how can I, like, that was so powerful what I just did. Cause like, I couldn't believe my eyes, like whatever happened with my book. And then next minute, like everything started taking off. And I was like, what is going on? Like just by that one thought, which made me start thinking, how can I apply this to the rest of my life? And I've done that with every single thing in my life, every single fear, every manifestation. It's helped and helped all you guys as well, right? And turned that into a process that like truly works.
Massively. I mean, it is a game changer. You know, whenever in business, the expectation, Sharné, gets the better of me, and I'm coming from that place of lack and not good enough, is probably for me where a lot of that operates from, or that perceived rejection or whatever. The minute I turn that into, like, I let the expectation dissolve and I drop into my heart space, and what do I want to express from a place of love that I know obviously as truth, and how that will help that person, like it just flows. I can't describe the flowing process except as to say it just flows. It just, unravels.
Right, because you're using your source energy, like you're tapping in and channeling basically. So like if you're going to get up on stage, I know you get up on stage yourself, you get up on stage like, oh my God, like even me, every time I get up on stage, I get freaked out and I have panic attacks almost beforehand. Like all my facilitators that work with me know this. And then I walk up on that stage and it's about finding that one power thought that comes from love. And like all of a sudden your words just flow. You're not thinking about it. You've like bypassed the mind. And that's where all the fears and everything is, right?
Yeah.
And you're coming from your heart. And when you're coming from that place, like love really is that powerful.
Yes, it fucking is. And so then another topic I want to talk on, and it's an extension of this, is there were times where I'd heard you obviously explain the love and fear, and where I'd practiced it myself and made big, bold, badass fucking moves, like leaving the corporate law firm and selling out and having no idea what's going to unfold, but just from that love perspective, flowing and going. But there were also periods where that knowing of fear versus love and the ability to, I suppose, drop into the love frequency on an emotional and energetic level, it still wasn't possible for me. And then I would revert to the inner child healing and the inner work. So I know you're super passionate too, that you can't bypass. So tell us about inner work, tell us about how the importance of it, and all that.
Oh my God, I don't even know where to start. That's like a loaded question. How long do we have?
As long as we want to get our message across, Mazzy.
But, I would say one, to simplify it, I'm going to go with the simplest way if anyone finds himself in that situation where, one fear comes up and then another fear comes up, and it's easy to steamroll because basically where your attention goes, energy flows. That's what they say, right? Because back to the beginning, everything's made of energy. So if you like to think of it like thought forms, if you could see, there are some people, and I have clients now that can see energy, but there are some people that can see energy. But if you could see energy and just think of black being a low vibrational energy and white being a high vibrational, there's so much more than that. But to simplify it, and let's say a fear comes up and you can see that energy in this black bubbles coming up, just floating in front of your face. And then you hear what that is, and that's telling you you're not good enough. Who do you think you are? And then you entertain that black bubble. Now you've caused an energetic cord to attach to that energy, that bubble, that thought form. And now because you've got that cord and you're putting your attention to it, that bubble becomes bigger. And here comes another black bubble that tells you another fear to match up with that. And because you're giving that attention and giving that energy, these bubbles are getting bigger, and it's easy to, that's why we find ourselves like spiraling really quickly, because that's what we're choosing. And it is a choice, whether it's conscious or not, to feed these energies that we don't want. So the thing is to remember, like, these thoughts, we can choose our thoughts. So when those thoughts come up, and they will, because we're human, like I still get them. When those thoughts come up, if you could see it, just envision. If you can't, you don't have visual gifts, envision a black bubble there. Envision it as a thought form and just be like, I don't want to entertain you. And then look the other way and call in something more high vibrational. How can I look at this from love? Create it, and then you end up transmuting that energy into a higher frequency, no matter what the thought is. Like, even just grasp at anything that you actually believe in. That's the trick. You got to believe it.
Yeah.
That makes you feel slightly more better. And then focus on that thought and then find another one. Then you'll see that white bubble get bigger and bigger and bigger. Basically, that's the easiest way, if you look at it like that, when you are sitting in your room, sitting in your bed, sitting in your desk or whatever, pushing the pram and doing groceries, and you're starting to get riddled and you can feel yourself spiraling, to just envision it as if they are thought forms and bubbles in front of you. Because if you could see energy, you would actually see that.
Yeah.
So to start tuning into that. But in terms of like healing your inner child, a lot of these thoughts and these fears that we have is because of the conditioning that we had in our childhood and our past experiences and everything that we suffered, and even guilt, shame, all of that we were conditioned to behave in a certain way, conditioned
Like generationally,
yeah. And if add that into the equation as well, it's so much easier to start entertaining these black bubbles, so to say, because that's what you're used to thinking, right? But once you start healing those wounds and those patterns that aren't really serving you, but they served you a purpose back then, right? We had these defense mechanisms and walls to protect ourselves and allow ourselves to survive as children and to get past like dad's abuse or mummy's abuse or whatever was going on as we were growing up, and allow us to survive through those days. But it comes a point in our life where those walls and defense mechanisms we built to survive are now stopping us from actually embodying and becoming who we're supposed to be. Like they were our training wheels, and there's a time it needs to fall off or it's going to hinder us. And so again, like, the healing your inner child is so important. Hence why even in the Phoenix Ascension Facilitators
we've
program,
got to do that first.
everyone has to do the deep healing program and go through their shadow work and heal their inner child before I even start teaching them how to like work with energy and helping other people heal. Right. Everyone that works with me has to go through that. If you're in the academy, as you know, you've got to go through that. So, and I just believe you can't bypass that stuff. There's a lot of going on in the spiritual community where it's all that love and light fluff, but like truly being spiritual and truly embodying your true power involves a lot of going through your darkness.
Yes, it does. I mean, I would say that is what it involves, and then being able to transmute that into love and meeting it with love. I would say that's the very birth of it. So I'm sure there's other modalities then when you bypass and other gifts you might be able to offer, but it's not that depth. It can't be, if you ask me, from my experience.
It allows for the Band-Aid option. You feel better for now, but if you've still got, core beliefs and like whatever is like the core wounds that's actually there, the suppressed pain that's actually there from when you were 4 years old, if that's still in your body, you might be able to, chip at the top so you're fine for a few days or a week or so. But then if that's still sitting in your body, like your nervous system is still not fine. Your energy, your frequency is still not fine. Right. And so it's only until you heal those core wounds and find the root issues of your traumas, your problems and whatnot, can that be brought to light, healed and transmuted? So that way you can move forward and be better and do better and think different. So
and experience abundance and love at a frequency and level that you've never experienced it before. I want to touch on, you said, we can't, I'm paraphrasing, but like, you can't become what you're meant to become without shedding and releasing. What are we becoming? What are we unveiling? What is that stage? What does that next level look like?
it's like my phoenix rising in my business, but it's really just unveiling who you are. It's really it's not about trying to be someone you're not.
No.
Because if you're going to try to be someone you're not, you're always going to be uncomfortable. You're always going to feel like a fake or a fraud. And that frequency, because back to energy, is not a high frequency.
Yeah.
So it's about shedding all of the low frequency, the traumas, the beliefs, all the stuff that you're conditioned that's blocking you, all that suppressed pain that's blocking your actual chakras, your chakra system. And once that's able to be released from your body, your chakra system can then have that strong connection to like the higher consciousness, to the divine, to God, to Allah. I don't tell anyone who or what to believe in, but we have that ability to tap into universal consciousness. And that's where we can actually access infinite knowledge. That's when we can access and see and sense other realms. Like we're all very gifted, but because of these traumas and these energetic blocks, so to say, we're blocked from our own system that we already have. So really, it's just becoming more of who you are and learning to be unapologetically you and being so authentic. The world is so full of masks, and that's why everyone is armored in that black dense energy. And the world's shifting now. It's about time we like drop our mask, drop that armor, so we can reveal the light that we all already have anyway.
Yeah.
And that's what it's really all about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was recording a podcast just before this, and we were talking about politics, believe it or not, and leadership, and I was saying how there obviously will be a stage where our leaders do this work and not the current leaders that we have. There will be a person that is like meant to be in a politician type leadership role, that will go through their lessons, that will do this body of work, that will then lead the nation, not in the fear-based messaging, the lack mentality, the division, the fighting, screaming, breaking down, pulling down, because God knows that's not serving, and that will show up in the space of here's the love and connection and mask of vision and draw people to it. And God, I can't wait for that day.
I definitely believe that too. Everyone is here in this lifetime because we agreed, the ones that know, like, and they're are ready to awaken, they're on their spiritual journey. We're all placed in different pockets of the world because one by one, we're helping light each other up.
Absolutely. Let's delve a little bit into past lives. So, Dano, I've just felt called to discuss past lives. I've had one powerful experience actually with a past life that then totally gave context to me for fears that I was carrying that always felt too loaded for the scenario I knew happened to obviously continue on that wound. But obviously lots of the listeners, I'm speaking in another episode today about becoming woke, what that looks like, what that feels like, some tools to navigate it. But tell me a little bit, I don't know, like whatever comes to you when it comes to past lives. I feel like that's where it's got to come from.
I feel like once you've done your healing on yourself, and there's always layers and layers. Like you never get to a place where you're fully healed, or maybe then you're an ascended master floating in the heavens. But in saying that, there comes a time where we will start to remember past lives. There are some old souls that have lived and over and over and over again. I know I'm one of them, and I've actually got memories of several of mine, which it's crazy when you start seeing
It
that and you're
is.
literally remembering it and you're still holding that stuff in your body. Like, and I know you've experienced it too when you've actually released that trauma from your body and you're like, how am I holding it like in this life? But it makes so much sense why I'm doing things this way and that way and why I've got a fear of this because that time I was persecuted, or I'm claustrophobic because that time I was locked up, you know? It's crazy. But yeah, we're all here. I believe a lot of us, like we're here in this lifetime now to break those cycles, you know, those generational cycles, not just the cycles within our lifetime and our life now, but the generational ancestral line that everyone else has been carrying. And then it gets deeper than that because we've come here time and time and time again trying to get it right and to break those cycles. And it's so like, it's like we all come here and we don't remember and we have to remember all over again. But yeah, but past lives is so fascinating, especially because I've just come from Egypt. I'm in
Yeah.
Vietnam now, but like coming from Egypt and like memories coming back to, oh my God, like I'm still, that was a loaded trip and I'm still integrating that. But also being there was activating a lot of stuff in me that I had in past lives. I've only been able to remember now after being there and like certain things happened, certain places I went to. I'm like, oh my God, I've been here. Turn left and this is what's here. Oh my God, it is. And like, but in this physical lifetime, I've never been there. So it's a fascinating, fascinating thing when it comes to past lives. And I swear we could be couple of bottles of wine in talking about this for hours to pull out the tarot cards.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. The thing that strikes me about you always, Maz, and it's like you say, you're a mirror for me, and you're mirroring the bits that I see in you and am drawn to and inspired by are the bits in me that's kind of like, I suppose, still dormant to an extent, and that still has some activating and unleashing to do. And I know a lot of the things that I deeply, deeply admired at the start, I'm embodying already, right? But the thing that strikes me about you here today, and even the other day after our breathwork session together, is your faith. The faith that so like your experience and all my experience with trusting anything outside of us is obviously, when you come at it from the fear perspective, incredibly fucking hard, right? And then how that level of trust that you embody and then the quantum leaps you take. I mean, the fucking extension is like you're like compound interest times 1 million. Like, do you reckon that's just one of your genetic makeup? Like,
Not at all. No, no, no. That had to be, there was a lot of training behind that. When I say training, there was a lot of rock bottoms. There was a lot of me begging for help. There was a lot, like, what's coming to my mind right now is the time when I was 14 years old and I was living on the streets in Cairns, actually, North Queensland. And I would either sleep on the park bench on the esplanade, or sometimes I would sleep in front of the church because I felt like it was safe there. There's a church there, and right across the road is a park. And I'd sleep on the like doorstep of the church. And there was one time I was sitting on the park bench, and I remember a voice telling me to go to the church. That's the first time I went there and sleep there. So I don't know what was going to happen there. But then I was so upset and so alone and so depressed. At 14, I was literally just thinking, why am I even here? What is the point of this? Like I literally was like, yeah, suicidal. Like, why am I even on this planet? And this voice, so loud and clear, said, you're going through this. You're strong enough to make it through this, but you're going through this because you're going to help so many people in the future. And like, it was so strong. And at that point, I didn't know, like, I wasn't like believing in, like, I wasn't really religious. I grew up Catholic, but like, I really didn't believe in like God or anything. So I was like, I don't know who that was talking to me, but it was so strong and it was so prominent. And it's the voice that gave me that faith. And it told me to go in front of the church, which I did. And then I don't know what would have happened if I hadn't done that, but I did. And like that voice has spoken to me throughout my life, and it's now got like a lot stronger. But in those times of desperation And it's only ever in the times of desperation is when I really heard it. And like,
Heard
I
or
swear,
followed?
heard it.
Okay.
And then I followed.
Yeah.
I think all the other times it was always there, but I was just so clouded that I couldn't hear it.
Yep.
But it was when I was so desperate. Like, there's been so many times I'm on my knees crying. Oh, like what the fuck did I do to deserve that? Like, literally. And then I'd hear a voice like I know the last time I ever did that was literally me falling onto my knees, crying, staring up at the sky, screaming at the sky. Don't know who I was talking to, but I literally just said, okay, I give up. I'm done. I'm done. Whatever you want from me, I'll do. I'll do it. And it was like I had already known I was resisting the path that I was walking by continuing in all the cycles that, deep down, you shouldn't do this. Like, you shouldn't be with that person. You got to leave that, but you keep staying. You got to leave that job, but you keep staying because you need it for the money. We deep down know what we need to do, but we're just stubborn and don't want to listen.
Absolutely.
And like that, so many times that voice and following those, like taking those leaps of faith when I was just guided to do it. And it's always caught me. I've always been caught by the divine. I've always been caught. And like, I made a promise just before I started becoming an energy healer when I transitioned from mindset coaching and helping people with trauma. I made a promise and I said, they told me everything that we tell you, just do. Don't question, just do. Every nudge, don't question, just do. And the more that you do, the more that you'll see will open doors and all of your dreams will come true. I've got goosebumps just saying that. I've still got it as a channeled automatic writing. I highly suggest you guys try automatic writing if you've not done that already. And I had that written down in my journal. And from that day, because I don't make promises often because I like to keep them, and I had made a promise. So I had, to this day, I've kept that promise. And the first thing that they asked me to do was to quit my job when I had no savings. I was like, what? I just spent all this money investing into my business, but like, I got no money now. What? And I did. And they've caught me. And ever since then, everything, every nudge, every pull, when they say go, sometimes they're like, get on live, tell me that, speak about this. I'm like, I don't want to. You'll see me shaking on the live. But I see later, everything like worked out exactly. Like, we can be so guided. And it's not just me. I'm not special. But I think my story can be a testimony to help other people have that belief. So that way, when they start doing it, they'll see it too and be their testimonies, But I don't question now. And I know, and if I go off that track, life literally, it's like shifting from a whole different timeline. You're going from 5D to 3D, it feels like.
Yeah, you feel it. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, unwavering faith, because the divine has always caught me. Like they said, my dreams have come true. Like, I'm living reality I once like cried and could never believe and begged for. And I've been able to help so many others. And so that's why I know when they do those shifts, I'm there to hold them. But I trust that if they can trust, they're going to be taken care of, because we are all protected and we are all guided.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree with you more. I reckon the lesson I came to learn when I saw you the first time, I'm still fucking circling it around. And I'm like, I'll learn this lesson and I'll learn that lesson. Oh, this one feels safe enough, but that fucking lesson, no, in the human mind, like that blind faith that you are able to step into from love and expansion is the testament to where you are today. And the light you shine and the lives you change, Maz. And I just am so incredibly thankful for you. I know I've said that to you in the past, but it feels very special for me saying it to you today, hosting you as my guest speaker here on Grow and Expand with Ace.
And thank you. But I am so incredibly proud of you as well. Like, look what you've been able to do in such a short amount of time, and like literally start from not having done any kind of work like this before into now you're able to heal with your hands. You're able to help other people. You're getting up on stages. You've got a freaking podcast interviewing me now. Like, I'm so incredibly proud. So you're a testimony that quantum leaping is real.
Quantum leaping, energetics, inner child healing, mindset coaching, the whole thing. And, I think the biggest message that I have is you can have whatever the fuck it is that you want really the only question is what you're willing to let go of to obtain it. And that is unique to everyone at every stage in every journey. But I don't want anyone to ever sit there thinking there is no road, because I remember exhausting the entire psychology system, psychiatry system, anxiety tablets, the Western medicine, I don't know if that's the terminology for it, but everything I'd been taught, and just, I felt hopeless. And that was a really, really, really tough place to be in. And, that's when I obviously started my journey, 6 months a bit on my own, then met you. And again, I started my journey on that inner knowing. I fucking knew exactly what I had to do, and I just kept following it. I kept following it. I kept following it. And so anything is possible, but you've got skin in the game, and you've got to decide, and you've got full control over too what you want to release to access. Like that's the kind of equation, isn't it?
You put it perfectly. I love it.
Is there anything else that you feel called to share, Maz?
I feel called to just, on the back of what you just said, like literally, guys, if you're listening, it really doesn't matter who you were, what you've been through, whatever stories, like you really can be whoever you want and do whatever you want. And it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're holding on to guilt and shame because you felt like you were a bad person. At any moment, you can change. It doesn't matter if you feel like, your circumstances were bad because bad things happen to you. At any moment, that can change, but it always starts with you. So if
I
there's
couldn't agree
anything you
more.
can take that.
I couldn't agree more. So put even more bluntly, if you believe you are a bad person because you've done bad things, you are not a bad person, and you are love, and you are light, and you deserve to feel worthy and good enough. But it starts with healing and embodying and becoming that person and showing yourself that you can rise into that energy. Full fucking stop.
Amen.
Preaching to the choir. Thank you so much for joining me, Maz.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
I hope you have a beautiful rest of the day, Mazzy. Have you got much planned?
I'm actually filling up retreat stuff and everything for Egypt.
So tell me about it. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yes, this is a retreat like no other that I've ever planned. We actually have the pyramids of Giza on our own, privately. This is more, my intention is for the ascension process of people. So wherever they're up, take them up a notch and help them remember who they are, trigger the ancient wisdom and the knowledge. That was the message I got, is to help trigger the ancient wisdom and knowledge that is within each person that is called to be there, because I know the land is like they're being called. We're going to see also the Sphinx, and then we're going to see Saqqara, where there's like 7+ more pyramids and tombs. And then those that continue on and stay longer, because that's a 7-day retreat. We're doing quite a lot in that time. And those that continue to stay on, it'll go up to 16 days. Oh no, in the 7 days, we're also going to camp in the White Desert, go to the Black Desert, the White Desert, see the Labyrinth, Crystal Mountain. It's made of 150 different crystals, like all organic, all natural, all that really, really powerful. There's canyons there, and it literally looks like, I don't know, there's a lot of dragon and a lot of ET energy that, oh my God, the energy is intense. And then there's a canyon where I want to do a healing there in the canyon. And we'll be camping in the White Desert under the stars, got all the music and everything else, like people on drums that are around the campfire in the White Desert. And then those that decide to stay 2 weeks, we're going to fly to like Luxor and Aswan and different places and like see, the Temple of Isis, like Philae Temple, and go see Abu Simbel, like all different places. And it's like just a place for like a lot of activations. It's going to be powerful and potent.
I can feel it. So tell me the dates. So what are the dates?
11/11 portal. I know we're going to be at the Pyramids of Giza. I've already booked it for
early
that.
November.
So 7th to the 13th is the first week. So those that just stay to do the first week, and those that want to stay on, because we're going to fly out of Cairo and travel around, goes until the 22nd.
Beautiful.
But yeah, on the actual 11/11 portal, we're in the Pyramids of Giza.
Okay, Mazzy. Thank you so much again.